See that brake light? Of course, you know that comes on when you set the parking brake. Goes off, normally goes off when you release the parking brake. But if it stays on when you release the parking brake, or comes on while you're driving, even though you haven't touched the parking brake, that light actually has two uses. One is it comes on when the parking brake is set, but it also comes on when the brake fluid level is low. The brake fluid is what makes your brakes work. They're all hydraulic, and the brake fluid reservoir, it turns out this car has two reservoirs. This one is kind of an overfill. Make sure this one is full down here. You fill it up here. Most cars just have the one, but in this case the one is not accessible because it's under the cowl, so they give you this one, and it'll say, usually it'll say .3 or .4 on the cap. This one says DOT3 fluid, Department of Transportation. That's what goes in it. That stuff is toxic. Don't get it on the paint. Don't get it on you. But why would that light be coming on if you don't have your brake on? Well, there's a little switch down there. Maybe a sensor, maybe a switch. You can see the electrical wire coming off the bottom. When that fluid gets that low, which is very low in the reservoir, soon after that, it means you probably have a leak. Now, it's possible that your brakes are worn out and all the fluid is actually in your brake calipers, but I've never seen that happen. Every time I've seen this fluid that low where the light comes on, it's because there's a leak somewhere. And you don't ever want to have a leak in your brakes. You don't want to drive the car with a leak, because if that leak gets big enough, well, the brake light's going to come on, and then soon after that, the brakes will not work. They may be working fine with when that light is on, but as soon as the fluid gets low enough leaks out to where air can get into that cylinder below. This cylinder, this is the master cylinder. As soon as air gets inside of there, it cannot put enough pressure on the brakes no more, because it's just compressing the air and it's not going to stop the car. So what you have to do is, the first thing you have to do is come in here and see, is it low? And it may be hard to tell where the fluid level is. You might have to clean off the plastic to see, and shine a light, shine a flashlight on it. In this case, I know it's full. I can see that this one is even full. So if this one's full, that one certainly is full, because this one fills that one, and this one's higher up. So then you have to check all of the brakes and look for puddles, little puddles or leaks. Here's the front left brake caliper. You probably can't see a leak from here. The hose is on the back. You're gonna have to look in the back and look for leaks in every single wheel. This car has front disc brakes. Most cars do. I can't see a leak. Wouldn't be able to see a leak here either. And in the back, it's even harder, because in this car there's drum brakes in the back, so you can't see much of the brakes. But oftentimes, well, the leak, maybe about half the time, less than half the time, but maybe 40% of the time, yeah, you can see the brake line going in at the top up there. That's the drum brake. And above that is your little bleeder nut for bleeding the brakes. But you see the brake lines go all the way to the front of the car, obviously, to that same cylinder. And this car has ABS, so there's a pump somewhere, I can't remember where it is in this car, has all the lines coming in, and when this car also has wheel speed sensors. When it senses that one of the wheels is slipping, it activates the anti-lock brake system, and that starts pumping the brakes, because that's the best way to stop when you're on something slick. So you're going to want to check all of these and try to find the leak. But most of all, you're not going to want to drive with that leak going on. So you've got to get the car serviced right away and have that leak checked out. And if air does get in, you're going to have the brakes bled, which is a bigger job. It takes sometimes about an hour, depending on the equipment they have available to bleed the brakes. But you've got to get all the air out, or the brakes don't work. They don't work when there's air in the hydraulic lines at all, or in that cylinder. So that's what I wanted to tell you. And if my light came on while I was driving, I would immediately pull over and I would check to see if the brake fluid is low. If the brake fluid is not low, then maybe it's just the switch on the emergency brake or the parking brake. And you can try to let this up and down to see. There's a switch down in the bottom down there. You can't see it here. You have to take the console out to look at it. But I would try to flip this up and down several times to see if I can get the light to go out. But if I can't, then I'm probably going to have to replace that switch, or at least access it and see if I can repair it. I don't want that light to be on, even if it's because of a broken switch here, because then the fact that this switch is broken is masking any possibility that I have low brake fluid, because I'm also depending on that light to only be on when the brake is on and parked, or there's a fluid leak that's causing my fluid level to be low and my brakes are about to stop working. So it's very important for that light to be off anytime this brake is released. So either you have a leak or you have a problem with the switch on the brake. Either way, you need to have it fixed. Okay, thank you.